So, Mr. Webster.
Yes.
You're speaking with Jay Hawkins, MUSIC224. You are the promoter, organiser.
I'm not the promoter, I'm the booker. I'm the booker of this event.
Hard rock.
Yes. Far away.
Sorry. So, it's been a success, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I think with all of these things, you kind of go into them. I think when we started on the first one with John, who's the promoter, he had an event he wanted to put on. He had 1 week to try and find some acts, and it was in Butlins in Minehead.
What year was that?
It was 7 years ago. So,
7 years, yeah. Right.
And I got the phone call. You know, my friend needs some help. Can you help? And I think that the idea being that if they didn't have any talent procured in that week, there wouldn't have been the first event. So with 1 week to find some talent, I hit the address book and started phoning up random friends and seeing where we got to, and procured Twisted Sister as the key act, as the headline, and then I was also at the time having fish and chips with a band called Tesla. So I managed to get Tesla and Twisted Sister, and I was also managing a female rock band called McQueen, so they came into it, and a bill was started, and from there we started to work on building a bill and building an event. And John's a great marketeer, and so is that relationship, and since we've carried on building a lot of other spin-off events, Hammerfest with Metal Hammer and all the other ones that are up behind us, a science fiction event, or progressive rock, AOR, blues.
I know, it's going in all directions, isn't it? It's really good.
Yeah,
and your address book's pretty interesting then, to be able to phone those sort of people up and say, can you come down and play for us? What's your musical history?
Musical history went from, I would say, playing guitar badly, being in bands, being signed by the now head of Universal Worldwide, Lucian Grange, signed me as a songwriter, and then I signed to Chrysalis as an artist with an act called One. We sold 1 copy.
Ironically.
Well, I think Chrysalis was bought by EMI and I learned politics, and I went from there into music management. I started managing acts. I was promoting the Marquee, doing new bands nights there, and trying to find music that inspired me. Produced a band called Sensor, who actually played for us last year.
Yeah, I saw that. They were fantastic.
I produced their first demos, and then by accident, when everything was I think rock was a bit stale at the time, and I was looking for something different, and I ended up managing a DJ called Sasha.
The Sasha?
Yeah.
Christ, yeah.
So, and as a result of that, I then took what I'd learned in rock music and put it into his career. So I then, by default, when you become successful at one thing, I ended up managing Sasha, John Bigweed and Carl Cox. So 3 of the biggest things in that area of music, and taking them all around the world. And then, hit a point probably after a number of years where I'd taken them and made them into pretty big names, and kind of where I thought, well, hang on a second, I wanted to make proper artist albums and things that I'd grown up on. And so I was like, right, I've got to find something else that I can find get back to, I went from guitar to this, and it was an inspiring time, but I needed to get back to it. There was obviously a lot of other things that I'd be doing in between that. And so I then started managing an unknown artist called Dido. So that was, again, putting me into starting to kind of come back. The curve was starting to come back, and then I launched a publishing company called Day 7 Music, where I started to sign a breadth of artistry, so right across from eclectic to hard rock, so you name it. It was across publishing and music to film, and you can work on a greater spectrum. So my main songwriter was a singer-songwriter called Marcella Detroit, Shakespeare's sister.
Oh yeah.
And who obviously she's a great writer. And I put Marcy together with rock bands, classical artists, you name it, it didn't matter.
So it's safe to say anything you touch turns to gold.
I don't know about that.
Well, it sounds like it to me. I wish I had that sort of success. What would you contribute that success to? Hard work?
Yeah, a lot of it.
Being in the right place, right time?
I'm getting better, you know, getting better at what I do with age. Like an old fine wine, you know. No, you kind of.
Do you see it in a different? Do you see the world in a different light to when you were a younger?
I think you make less mistakes. You know, you might find something that you're passionate about, but as passionate as you are about it, it's not going to put food on the table. So you have to make decisions. You know, I would have managed an artist purely out of passion because I love the music, but not earning a penny from it. Now it's very different. You know, it's more, you know, better business, and like to do things that with people I love. I think management is so personal relationship based. So and you know, I tend to tell artists what I think. It doesn't always go down well.
But you're honest, and that's what people like, I suppose.
Yeah, I think you have to. There's no other way to be. I've got a large coffee to my right though. There you go.
Oh, bring it in. Bring the coffee in. Don't worry about it. Probably been talking all day, haven't you? As dry as the Sahara Desert.
So, yeah, I think it's with management. You realise that it's so relationship based. It's very easy to take on something because you love the music, and then find out actually the person that you're working with is a nightmare, and you don't really want to have that long. You know, or is it's a 7-8 year journey. You know,
you've got to have a lot of patience with people for that.
Yeah, I mean, I manage one act now, and that's Skin Rid, and I love it. Everything in a band that I love, they kill it.
That was fantastic last night. That was something else, wasn't it?
You know what? I see the band a lot, and yeah, it's a completely different set to the last time I saw them. There's nothing that is the same about the last time I saw them. It's the unpredictability of it all. And Benj was just on exciting form, you know. It was just at his best.
There's something about that band though. It's like we was all stood in here yesterday and Skindred walks in and there's like a glow or an aura about him. They walk into a room and everyone's like, oh. It's incredible. It's incredible. And like, I first saw Skindred, obviously, I actually picked up on Skindred. Their first album was on Spotify.
Yeah.
And I literally it was one of the first bands I listened to on Spotify. I don't know how it came up. I don't know, it comes up on a news feed or something. A bit like Facebook, but it's all band related. And that's why I love Spotify, because you can just discover so many bands. Anyway, I went and saw them at Download. Yeah. And that's where I saw Newport Helicopter for the first time. And I just fell in love with them live. Some of their tracks, to my own personal taste, isn't, you know, because they venture into drum and bass, dubstep, you know, they're just a whole mishmash of different things.
The new album,
managing must be incredible.
The new album's again, it's different to the last.
You've heard it then, have you?
Of course, yeah. And I've been involved in the making of it with every bit, you know.
But it shows you've got a personal relationship.
You have to have, and on this album, you know, I didn't want them to go back and make the same record. You know, I thought you've been going for a while. We need a bit of objectivity. Let's find someone that, you know, will bring a different colour to it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you know, then you can blame the manager. So you know, I think it was something we experimented. We brought Russ Ballard down to write with, you know, sit down with Benj for a day and see what happened. And I knew that they would have. Benj was like, Russ, because what's he read? Oh fuck. And it was like, you know, it's one of those moments. It's like, yeah, you know, God gave rock and roll. Since he's been good, fucking anything that's anything in rock music, I want to work with this guy, you know. And it's not about one person's ability. It's about just a bit of musical, melodic objectivity. Because Benj is a wonderful lyricist, so it's just trying to have someone that would be melodically objective with, and give a different colour. You're trying to raise the bar every time. You're trying to shoot higher, and And you know, at the end of that, there was, you could tell something special was happening, and you know, the band fell in love with him. He fell in love with the band, and you know, I think at the end of the session, they went back and they did a few more days together. He only wrote, you know, a couple of songs with them, but those couple of songs, you know, it was pretty much cheers when they parted company. You know? Yeah.
So do you think you'll work with them again?
No, so I think, you know, you just look for different colours. I think it's not. I think what you draw from a session as a songwriter, you write. I've worked with many songwriters, and songwriters, you know, funny enough, I put Marcy together with Russ years before, and she had written "Lay Down Sally" for Eric Clapton when she was like 15 or 16. So she had written these amazing songs, but she went in with Russ and she came out and said, I learned more today than I've learned in years. And that's you know, a woman that was on 50 at the time, coming out of it, going, today I learned a huge amount. So I think that with songwriting and songcraft, you can always draw a lot from working.
So when is Skindred looking to release its new album?
New album's out in January. There's, you know, an acoustic song on it, which you would never have got from Skindred before, really. You know, they've done acoustic versions and acoustic sets. They did a wonderful acoustic set yesterday that
I missed that, unfortunately.
Stunned by.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Kill the Power is, you know, it's a bit more rappy and yet to hear an acoustic version of it that is completely unlike the other version and beautifully sung, I was like, wow, you know, it surprises. So yeah, they're an act that I get excited by every day.
That's good. That's so that it gets you up in the morning.
Yeah, it gets me up in the morning. So that's a passion. You know, booking these events with John and creating that and being on that journey is a passion. And then obviously, you know, I have this rock summit that I'm doing next year.
That's right, in Miami, isn't it?
LA.
LA. That's right.
So in LA next year, we'll do the first global rock summit, and the idea again is
You've
that
got Andy Coppell going to that, and all sorts of people.
Yeah, we've got most of you know, it's a small, like most things start small, watch it grow, so there's no pressure. The idea is to put, you know, various minds and spirits from the world of rock in a room and start to communicate as a forum and you know, do business off the back of it.
Have the others been supportive of it?
Totally supportive of it. You know, Jordan Berlian, who is Slash's and Linkin Park's manager, is kind of co-hosting it with me. My friend Zach Bissler, A&R Worldwide in LA, knows how to put on a great conference, so there was no one better. When he said, I want to do this with you, Sid, and it was like, that's an honour. So, and to be honest, from there, it's like, you know, I asked Andy Copping, and Andy was immediately wanted to, because for me, Andy will go out to LA and he'll sit with various managers and want to book acts for download. So I go out to try and do business or license music or put music into film or TV, and you know, and most other people who work in the world of rock are hitting city to city and trying to do business. So to give it a central focus of time, start with that, and then hopefully it can have other things that come from it. You know, I was a young band that already got in touch wanting to play it, and I thought they would be great for one of our events here, so immediately booked for Hammerfest, you know, and you want to do trade.
It's amazing how small the music industry actually is.
Yeah, and the rock music industry within it, but there was nothing that catered for the rock music industry. You turn up to a music conference, it's covering multi-genre, and you've got people, you know, rock music's marginalised within it. If you have a young metal label and you're going to try and license your product, you're going to sit and listen to someone that signed, you know, an X Factor artist or someone that's got no bearing on their industry, and then they put on, they might do one of those listening sessions, and they'll put on something that's sort of satanic and heavy and kind of, you know, not for me, and they don't get it, they don't understand it, there's no engagement with it, and you know, for me that's very sad, because it's such a great area of music that you know, is probably one of the most hard-working areas of music. In rock music, you know, you realise you're not going to get supported on radio to start with, so you've got to go out and earn it. So bands are much more hard-working. They'll go out and they'll play and they'll tour, and you know.
I must admit, your events are incredible. Hammerfest this year for me. Do you know, I go to Download, you know.
Yeah.
I've been to go and Download because it's just on my doorstep.
Yeah.
You know, and I love Download for what it is. It is a massive element of that thing. But when I came here for Hammerfest, which was my first time, the one thing that struck me was not only the intimacy of it all, but it was all, you know, with the bands being in with the fans, and you know, it was just a real family community spirit. And I said all this in my review, but the one thing that really did shine was the variety that those festivals had. That festival had. You know, you had people like Sensor that were dropped in with people like RSJ, and it was like, wow, this is so varied. But it was a lovely mixture. It was like a well-baked cake. You know, all those ingredients just worked, and it just really.
I think Hammerfest we got a lot of it right this year, but then it's, you know, it's potluck, because you kind of, some of it you got to take chances, and you realise that if you put thrash band back to back, by thrash band number 6, it's going to be a bit dull. Yeah, you know. Whereas if you then put something different on, you know, a Sensor on, or one of those acts, it breaks it down and gives it a different colour. And I think that's how it should be reflected, and metal as a genre should dips into lots of other things. So, you know, why can't we have new metal genres? You know, the gypsy metal of you know, Visa, which for me was
their support scheme as well.
Yeah.
I want to try and get onto the. I want to try and hopefully get a press pass for the Rock City show.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and I'll hit you up for that.
but you know, that for me, that was.
It was very successful, and now you've got AOR Blues coming out, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's a new one, isn't it?
Well, we got AOR, which is in its second year, and that's, you know, already, you know, doing well. I think Prog as well in its second year. And the idea that these events grow, you know, we have here, Hard Rock Hell, we have, you know, one event in however many rooms, and that works comfortably. And what we're doing there is it's more, you know, it's taking over the space, and you put 3 events in the same space at the same time. So Prog will happen in one zone, AOR will happen in another zone, Blues will happen in another zone, and then, you know, some will dip in and out of it, some will want to stay in their Prog zone, some want to stay in AOR, but it's, you know, it's just turning it into a little rock music town in its multi-genre, you know.
And it will cater for so many different tastes. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah, and you know, and if one of those grows as a sub-event into something bigger, then it can become its own weekend, and we'll move it into that. And I think it's very organic. I want, you know, you'll see how people respond and react, and as long as people buy tickets and are enjoying the music.
Do you think you'll stay here for the foreseeable future, or you are up
That's John's side, but I love it. I actually love this place. It's a bugger to get to. You kind of get lost off.
I nearly died twice getting there.
Yeah, I think most people did.
That's part of the fun, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you can, but when you're here, it's like, oh, great, you know, and you got coffee, which is always good.
It's nicely isolated as well. You know, when you're here, you are in like a little village.
You're here in a little rock village, and you're only gonna, you know, you're not gonna. It's not like someone's gonna swan off.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that band because, you know, it's like, no, you're there.
Well, I wish you all the success for the future.
Thank you.
And I hope to cover a few more events.
Oh, definitely.
If I'm invited back.
Well, you know, it depends whether you trash the place or.
No, I'm one of the good guys.
You know.
I'm one of the good guys. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Oh, what
inspiration.
Thank you.
Ladies, sing this fucking song. I know you know it. I'm gonna pop some gas. Only got $20.